Welcome to the site-specific safety orientation for the Metrolink Union Station Tunnel Project. The purpose of this safety orientation is to notify you of some of the rules and regulations that must be followed while working in the tunnel. This orientation video is designed as a general overview of the site requirements as well as hazards that are present on site. Following this video, you will be asked to take a short quiz which will serve as acknowledgement of each section of the orientation and the site-specific safety requirements. A brief overview of this Metrolink UST project. The project focus is to narrow the tunnel around the metro rail tracks. On either side of the rail, footings, foundations, and vertical walls will be installed with flowable lightweight concrete placed behind the wall. Additionally, there will be some miscellaneous electrical work, utility/drainage system installs, and a dry pipe sprinkler system. Personal protective equipment. Hard hat. Hard hats are required at all times while working on Metrolink UST. Hard hats that are red are only allowed for those who are Tier 2 trained and who are performing flagging operations. Safety glasses, which must meet the ANSI Z87.1 standards and be equipped with side shields, are required to be worn at all times. High visibility clothing and vests, which are a minimum of Class 2, are required when working on or around Metrolink rails or mobile and heavy equipment. Safety toed boots with a defined heel and any additional PPE that may be required depending on the work or task being performed. Before gaining access to Metrolink UST, all workers must complete the Tier 1 track access training. This training provides anyone working on or around Metrolink rails, tunnels, and bridges information on basic Metrolink safety requirements. Tier 2 track access training provides workers with information on safety requirements and procedures for flagging Metrolink trains and using radio communication systems. As of March 7th, 2025, Tier 1 track access will require an in-person on-the-job training or OJT to receive your Metrolink badge. There are unique hazards associated with working at the Metrolink UST project. Some hazards can be eliminated or mitigated easily, while others will require more strategic planning to perform the work safely. Some of the hazards associated with this project are walking on or around the rails, 860 volts of direct current overhead electrical lines, limited lighting due to night work and working inside of the tunnel, trenching and open excavations, falls from heights, confined spaces, use of mobile heavy equipment, and other task-specific hazards. We will discuss some of these hazards in more detail in the next few slides. While walking on or around the rails, there are a few key things we need to keep in mind. Tracks and ties. There are two types of ties on the Metrolink rails, wood and concrete. While walking on the ties, we need to remember that the ties can become very slippery due to the various elements present, such as frost, grease, oil, and water. Special care must be taken to avoid slipping or falling. Walk slowly. Never run on the ties. Switch points. Switch points are the movable portion of a switch. Switches are used to move the train from one rail to another. Never walk on or over a switch. Always walk around the switch. If your hand or foot gets caught in the switch, you will not be able to remove it until the switch is re-engaged. Switch crib heaters. Switch crib heaters are energized with 860 volts of direct current and can carry large amounts of current at any time. The wires are insulated but can be easily nicked or spliced from shovels or other track equipment. Switch crib heaters should always be avoided. Flag person. Flagging protection must be used whenever there is work being performed on the right-of-way. Flagging protection is accomplished in two ways: by alerting the workers of an incoming train and by alerting the train that it is entering a work zone. Flaggers will be wearing a red hard hat, an orange vest, and safety glasses. Only qualified personnel who have passed the Tier 2 Metrolink training are assigned flagging duty. The Overhead Catenary System, or OCS. The OCS is suspended directly over the tracks and supplies 860 volts of direct current. These wires are not insulated. They are bare and always energized. Working near these wires may require them to be de-energized prior to starting work. When working properly, the OCS presents no threat to workers, but special care should always be taken. If the OCS breaks or comes into contact with a foreign object, electrical shock or damage to people or equipment can occur. If damage to the OCS is found, stop work and contact the Operations Control Center immediately. Trenching and excavation safety. Some of the major hazards associated with trenching and excavation work are cave-in and collapses. Determine the proper sloping, benching, shoring, and/or engineered protective system to use based on the soil type. Water accumulation. Keep water out of the excavation by using pumps to remove the water. Never allow employees in any excavation or trench that has accumulated water. Water affects the integrity of the excavation and soil type. Falls into the excavation. Barricading and fall protection or prevention is required when working around open excavations or trenches. Never leave the excavation open when work is not being performed in the area. Use fencing, barricades, and signage to protect employees from falling in. Poisonous gases. When there is a chance for a hazardous atmosphere in an excavation, gas testing at any low points in the excavation with a 4-gas monitor will be required. Common fall hazards include unprotected edges, holes in the floor, unstable working surfaces, improper use of ladders and scaffolding, and lack of guardrails or protective barriers. Whenever possible, engineer out or minimize the hazard. Install guardrails, floor hole covers, barricade the area, and use signs to warn of the hazard. Ensure that guardrails and barriers are installed around open edges and floor openings. Barriers should be able to withstand the force of a falling worker. When working at a height greater than 6 feet, a personal fall arrest system is required. Personal fall arrest systems include a harness, lanyard, and anchor points. When working with ladders, remember to choose the right ladder for the job, considering the weight and height capacity. Always maintain 3 points of contact while climbing and never overreach. Confined space is defined as any space that has limited means of access/egress, generally one way in and one way out, is not designed for continuous occupancy, large enough for someone to enter. These spaces may include underground vaults, tanks, storage bins, pits, and other similar areas. A permit-required confined space has one or more of the following: contains or has the potential to contain a hazardous atmosphere, contains a material with the potential to engulf someone who enters the space, has an internal configuration that might cause an entrant to be trapped or asphyxiated by inwardly converging walls, contains any other recognized serious safety or health hazard. Various types of mobile and heavy equipment can be found at the Metrolink UST project. These types can range from smaller equipment such as skid steers and mini excavators to larger equipment like wheel loaders and rail-mounted dump trailers. Special precautions must be taken when working on or around mobile and heavy equipment. Always maintain 3 points of contact when accessing or exiting mobile equipment. When working near mobile equipment, always maintain line of fire distance. Keep clear of equipment swing radius and never stand directly behind equipment or under an overhead load such as a bucket or boom. Working space and travel paths can be limited at times. Always make contact with the equipment operator whenever walking near, around, or past the equipment. When in doubt about an operator's travel path, or if you have been seen, stand clear of the equipment and let them pass before walking around the equipment. There is a variety of silica dust-producing work at Metrolink UST. This includes existing concrete demolition work, pouring of footings, foundations, and vertical walls with flowable lightweight concrete. Any silica dust exposure must be stopped at its source by either water or vacuum control methods. Exposure to respirable crystalline silica can occur during common construction tasks, such as using masonry saws, grinders, drills, jackhammers, and handheld powered chipping tools. All work must comply with OSHA's 1926.1153 respirable crystalline silica Table 1. Table 1 matches 18 common construction tasks with effective dust control methods, such as using water to keep dust from getting into the air, or using a vacuum dust collection system to capture dust. Hoisting and rigging have a lot of associated hazards, regardless of the weight of the load being lifted. Some safe work practices with hoisting and rigging are: all hoisting and rigging will take place under the direction of a qualified rigger and signalman. Inspect all the rigging equipment thoroughly before every lift. Always keep away from the load being lifted. When possible, use tag lines to ensure space from the load. Always know the weight of the item being lifted, capacity of the equipment doing the lifting, and establish a controlled access zone to keep workers clear. In the event of an emergency while working in Metro's right-of-way, the incident shall be reported to the Operations Control Center or OCC immediately by contacting 314-289-6870. The OCC will contact the proper emergency services. Always call OCC. Do not call 911. Emergency response will arrive faster via OCC. The KCI safety team and project team will also need to be notified of any of the following: minor injuries requiring first aid, injuries requiring beyond first aid treatment, equipment damage, and near misses, which is an incident that could have resulted in injury to personnel or damage to equipment. All near misses, incidents, and injuries, regardless of severity, need to be communicated immediately. In the event of an emergency requiring evacuation, all KCI employees will gather at the pre-designated gathering point or muster point. The muster point is in front of the KCI project trailer and is listed on the daily JSA form. A head count will be conducted to ensure all personnel are accounted for. KCI superintendent will facilitate the proper response with the Operations Control Center or OCC and KCI safety. To ensure a safe workplace for all employees, all site workers agree to comply with the established site-specific safety requirements. Failure to do so will result in the use of the disciplinary policy. KCI's disciplinary policy is not a step-by-step process. Disciplinary action will be determined by the severity of the hazard and the employee's knowledge of the requirements. In conclusion, we here at KCI value the work you do and the steps taken to ensure everyone has a safe working environment. Following this presentation, a short quiz will be given as acknowledgement of each section of the orientation and the site-specific safety requirements. Thank you for attending the KCI Metrolink UST site orientation video.